election, and I know all of y'all are too. As I've watched politics down through the years, I've never seen anyone have more impact than their initial, that's okay, let her go. This is April. She works for the Democratic Party of Kentucky, and she films the person that's going to take Steve Beshear out of the governor's office. Phil is here. I'm so very excited about Phil and his new position with the Bluegrass Institute, a think tank that's going to provide a lot of great information and good ideas. I got to know him as we went around the state. He was a very worthy opponent, and he's been very gracious. He and his wife since the campaign, especially the wives and spouses and these things get to know each other very well. And his wife has been so kind to my wife. And what is a difficult time? These races aren't a lot of fun. I want to tell you that we have a lot of things in common in this state, from east and west, north to south. But one thing that we face all over our state is the fact that Kentucky is not competitive with our neighboring states, especially those to the south on job creation. There are some people in Frankfort, Kentucky that do not realize that the government does not generate any wealth. It confiscates wealth from folks. And the less wealth that it confiscates from the state, the better off we are in our competitive situation. Now, recently I've had the opportunity to talk to Governor Rick Perry and the Governor of Tennessee, Governor Haslam, and other folks around, and you talk about the number of jobs that have been created in other states, and there's a direct correlation, and there's a reason why jobs have been created in many of these states. Number one, they have a tax structure that taxes consumption and not productivity. They have a workers' compensation cost that is not as high as Kentucky. They have an unemployment insurance cost that's not as high as Kentucky. We have the highest cost of unemployment insurance in the United States of America, bar one state. Last year, Tennessee, that has 2 more congressional districts and 900,000 more working people and a higher per capita income, borrowed $20 million from the federal government for unemployment insurance, and they paid it back. Kentucky borrowed $960 million that the job creators of this state are going to have to pay back plus interest. And if we don't pay the interest on that by September 30th of this year, which is $28 million, then every employer in this state is going to lose their federal unemployment tax credit on their taxes. That will mean $600 million to Kentucky employers that will come right out of their bankroll. I'm telling you without fear of contradiction, if a storm had come through the state of Kentucky and destroyed $960 million of cash that belong to businesses in this state, they declare a national emergency. Barack Obama would send a check, and Steve Beshear would have his picture taken, giving that check to somebody out there right now. But if that money is gone, and Kentucky employers are going to have to pay it, and we're not going to be competitive in this state until we have a governor who can take the lead in changing the economic situation in our state. And we can go to Frankfort, and we do go to Frankfort and talk about how much we have to cut. I get criticized for across-the-board cuts that we proposed last year. Well, I'm telling you, we not only do not have a structurally balanced budget, we don't have a balanced budget anyway in the state of Kentucky, because Governor Beshear line item $200 million worth of mandated cuts, and he did not replace it with corresponding reductions in expenditures. In addition to that, he spent over $550 million of bond payments to pay for current expenses and push those bond payments out into the future years. And now he claims that we have a surplus over there. So, you know, the first thing you have to do to correct the problem is to recognize you do have a problem. And I want to tell you that this fall we have an opportunity to come together as conservative Democrats, libertarians, Tea Parties, and Republican folks to change the government over there in Frankfort, Kentucky. The Senate is under the control of the Conservative Party. And I believe that ultimately we're going to have to change the House also. But in order to do that, you're going to have a governor with an agenda that will take these folks on and be tough enough to take the fight to them day in and day out. My commitment to you is that I will use every bit of the power I have in my body and the strength I have in my next 4 years, if I'm your governor, to change this state into a state that will retain and create jobs, to make Kentucky the best place in the United States of America to have a family. I'm going to give you an example that Governor Beshear kind of made fun of me about. I was comparing Tennessee to Kentucky, and I reminded them, and this was at the Farm Bureau forum that we had, that after 5 times we were able to give an exemption to our brave men and women to the military from Kentucky state income tax. Now, can you imagine? 5 times. We passed that bill 5 times, and all of you that have served in the military or had immediate members of your family to serve in the military, you can imagine what kind of strain military families are under with these multiple deployments that are going on. Our National Guard and our other active duty forces are doing these multiple deployments, and people have to stay home and take care of these expenses. 5 times we passed it through the Senate. But there was another reason. If you go to Christian County, Kentucky, where Fort Campbell is located, you look on one side of the border and there's all this development. That's what they call Tennessee. And you look on the other side of the border and you don't see any of this development. That's what they call Kentucky. Now, military men and women are intelligent. They have limited budgets that they have to spend, and they made the right decision. They located on the side of the border where they didn't have to pay the income tax. And that's what millions of other people have done and do every day in deciding that they're going to live in some other state other than Kentucky. Now, I want to tell you that during this last primary campaign, the members of our ticket, the United Republican ticket that we have, a lot of us lost votes. Some of us didn't vote for each other. As a matter of fact, most of them voted for Phil Moffitt that are on the ticket right now. And the bottom line is this. Now we're all on the same team, and everywhere I go, I'm telling you, I'm supporting this entire Republican ticket because John Kimber will make a great auditor. Bill Johnson will make a great Secretary of State. Jamie Comer will make a great Commissioner of Agriculture. Casey Crosby will make a great treasurer, and it'll be great to have a real prosecutor in the Attorney General's office by the name of Tom Cooper. One thing we all have in mind, once we take office, we're going to join with our fellow conservatives around this nation, and we're going to defeat Barack Obama next year. Of litigation that we can join in to make sure that the people in Washington, D.C. learn that it was the states that created the federal government. The federal government did not create the states, and we're going to compromise the law. I humbly ask for your vote and support in this fall campaign. I know that for many of you, I was not your preferred candidate in the primary. But I'm telling you that we have a job to do this fall. We can accomplish this goal against all the odds. Governor Beshear is shaking down every state employee, every contractor. It costs $50,000 if you want to be on the board of one of these universities. If David Williams is elected, the gravy train will be over and we'll return this state